All right, so I've been using the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X for about 3 weeks now because I actually got this before it launched. And while it's a marvel and I still love it, I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted by the Legion Go, the bigger display, the detachable controllers, OLED, a bigger RAM, and I just asked myself, what if I went for it? And that's exactly what I have done today here with the Legion Go 2 that I purchased with my own money. This did not come from Lenovo. I bought this at retail. I had it shipped to me here in Malaysia. And I cannot wait to get into this, experience the Legion Go 2, compare it here to my ROG Xbox Ally X, and tell you what are some of the differences I've noticed right off the bat. And we'll probably wrap this up with if I think it's a worthy upgrade or not, at least with my first impressions. I'm so excited, enough yapping. Let's get into it, baby. And the first thing that is very apparent to me here is just the box size. They look so different. This is the Xbox Ally X and this is the Legion Go. This is a massive box. And a nice Easter egg I've seen here is Legion, which is a very cool detail, I'm gonna tell you that. And getting into the box, and the first thing I definitely see is the Legion Go here. But from all the thousands of unboxings I've watched, because I'll tell you this for sure, I've watched so many videos while I was waiting for this. I already know that there's a power brick here, which is a 65 watt power adapter. So if I just take this one off and I remove this and let's get into it. I cannot wait. Oh my God, it's a 65 watt power adapter right here, which is nice. This is what you get with most of these handhelds. And that's pretty much it for the first compartment here. Now the piece de resistance, the reason why we're all here today is this, which is the Legion Go. It comes in this box here and this carrying case, which is nice to see because you don't get any of that with the Xbox Ally, sadly. You have to purchase that on your own. And I think I have like my warranty card here, which I'm going to use later, but I don't care. I'm just going to get this box out of the way here. And boom, this is the Legion Go 2. And we see an image of the box there, and we also see like the guide on how to turn it on. And going on to the back as well, you can pause to read all of this as some of the buttons and the mode, because it has like an FPS mode and all of that. I don't care. Now getting into this box, and the first thing I noticed, and I've heard from all the reviews, is how this is not as quality as the first Legion Go, but I don't have that one, though it does have like the spaces here for the kind of thumb grip. And we have the Legion Go 2 here. Just let me get into it first. And opening this, I've watched so many unboxing videos at this stage, so I kind of know what goes here. And if you're as obsessed as me, you'll probably know as well, we get the FPS mode thing here, and also we get on the other side the rubber. Oh, it's rubber. I didn't know this was rubber actually. This is sort of the rubber stopper you use when it's in FPS mode. We'll put that to the side. Looking at the case right here, and is it the most premium? It's not. It's not the most premium case out there, but it's a case, and you don't get any case with the Xbox Ally, so I'll take something over nothing, especially because this is a big handheld and I don't care about this. I'm gonna remove this again to the side, and let's get into the Legion Go 2 here. And whoa. The first thing I definitely notice is just the weight, but not in like a heavy kind of way, because this does not feel as heavy as I thought actually, which would be my first impression. So I'm just gonna quickly grab my Xbox Ally right here and hold this. Oh yeah, it definitely feels lighter than the Xbox Ally, which will be my first kind of comment that I have here is, yeah, this definitely, well, without holding the Xbox Ally, I wouldn't think that this is heavy, but on holding the Xbox Ally right here, if you were holding it side by side, which I'm not sure you would have both of them like I have right here, you definitely notice that this is more lighter right here. So that's not what we are here for. We are here for the Legion Go 2. Now for the instructions, it always said that you power this. And I think the first thing I like here about the Legion Go 2 is that it has that power connector at the bottom, which is super nice. I wished that my Xbox Ally here had it, and it's one of the complaints I primarily have about the Xbox Ally. It's just so inconvenient to have both at the top, and now this is what I've always loved, having one of that at the bottom, which means I can charge this and not interfere with the top here, which is really nice. And of course, at the top here, we have that charging indicator. We have, I think, the vent, the speakers, the power button, which now has a fingerprint scanner, just like on the Xbox Ally. The previous Legion Go I heard did not have that. And also the volume buttons, which actually have quite a bit of purchase to them. VRAM, which is nice. And going on to the right side, of course, we have the right thumbstick here. We have the face buttons, and I think this might feel better than the Xbox Ally, but that will come later. We have the 2 buttons here, which I don't know what they do yet because I've literally not powered this on. On the left side here, we have those 2 buttons as well, which I think the first one would be the Legion thing because I see like a Legion logo there. We have the D-pad, which thankfully is better here on the Legion Go 2. And we also have the 2 Windows buttons at the left here. The triggers, wow, they feel surprisingly good, not bad at all. I didn't think they'll feel as good as the Xbox Ally, I'll tell you that for sure, but they feel good here. But enough yapping, man. Let me get into this. So I'm just going to press the volume and power buttons right here because I've heard that you should change the VRAM for the graphics card when you power this on. So let me just turn this on and hopefully I can change that right here. And that'll be the first thing I suggest you change here, which is the VRAM for the graphics. And I'm not even turning it on first. I just want to get that out of the way because I don't want to have everything set up and then have to do this. So I guess the first tip is to change your GPU VRAM. Now the thumbsticks here don't work, so I think I'm just going to use the touch screen, and whoa, it looks really, really good. The display, oh my God, the display looks really good already. I've not even gotten into it, but let's go into more settings here. Then I think we're going to display settings, and here we can set our VRAM. And for me, most suggestions has been 8 gigs, but most of the time, even on my Xbox Ally X, I set it to 16 gigs because this has 32 gigs of RAM. So I think 16 gigs is more than enough for Windows. And if it's going to take more than 16 gigs, you know what? It can have it. So I'm going to set 16 gig here. And I am now going to tap on exit and exit. I'm going to tap on exit saving changes here. And I'm going to save confirmation and exit now. And let's get into the interface here. And when I was in the BIOS just now, while this restarts, I could hear the fans spin up. And definitely one of the things that I love about my Xbox Ally X is just how quiet this device is right here. And even at full load, I think, I'm going to reserve my judgment, but this definitely does sound louder, which is something that I will test eventually with some gaming tests. But yeah, I hope it's better when it comes to like the noise performance because I really don't want this to be like so loud. And while it boots, something I've also noticed is like the thumbsticks here definitely feel a whole lot, I would say, rubbery. Like it feels more softer compared to the thumbsticks on the Xbox Ally, which feels a lot harder. And I'm used to this, which actually feels like there's a little bit more resistance to them versus the one here on the Legion Go 2 that feels very, very lax. Setting up Windows is taking forever, but one thing I noticed here is while I want to set up the fingerprint, I actually cannot decide what finger I'm going to use because I noticed that if I want to reach over into the fingerprint here, it's kind of a long way to go on the left, and if I want to do it on the right, it's really awkward here versus, let's say, the Xbox Ally here that is super easy to reach just over the edge like this. So I think that's one thing I noticed. I'm going to set up the fingerprint scanner here, but I definitely cannot decide how I'm going to do this. But whichever way I'm going to set up the fingerprint here, it's definitely going to be awkward. I'll tell you that. And yeah, that's the first thing I'm noticing here. Okay, we're finally in here, and I have watched a million videos and everybody says the same thing, that you are not ready for just how nice this display looks, and they are 100,000%. Like there is no amount of video resolution in my camera here that can capture just how nice this display here looks. It's, oh wow, it's stunning. I'll tell you that for sure. And of course, a major reason why is because this is an OLED display, and not only OLED, it's also HDR, which means that this display sings, and I cannot wait to game. But let me just quickly set up all my games and everything. Windows has taken almost 40 minutes, almost 45 minutes to set up, so I am going to do this until I can just get gaming. Let's go, baby. And just as I'm getting into it, the first thing I notice is like there's all these apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and when I look at like my bottom tab there, why is it so packed with all of these apps? So I'm just going to do a quick cleanup, not for performance or anything, but just aesthetically, I just don't like how it is very cluttered here. So I'm just going to change that. Okay, we have a sudden time skip. Why? Because it's about 8 hours later, so that meant I have gone to bed and woken up and we're back. Well, the reason being that when I set up the Lenovo Legion Go 2 right here, it actually took a bit longer, and which is why I'm also including this in the video as well, because it took like almost an hour and a half to, download all of my updates. And when I did update, so I got updates from 3 places, which I'll be showing you here. The first is Legion Space, which you can bring up with this button on the left here, and Legion Space is different from Armoury Crate, which I'm used to, and we'll get to the differences that I noticed in a little while. But when we go all the way here to settings, I should be able to go here, and I'm still, yes, okay, settings, and then other settings here, there is disk and drivers, and then there is check for updates, and here it will check for updates, and I got the first bunch of updates here. And then after here, I also opened the Microsoft Store, where I also got another bunch of updates. And then lastly, I went to Windows Updates, where I also got another bunch of updates. So it was updates in 3 different places. And of course, if I go back into Legion Space right here, if I go back into Legion Space right here, yeah, it does take a while. That's one thing I've noticed with Legion Space, is that sometimes it's a little bit laggy, and I wouldn't say that Armoury Crate is the fastest, but I've definitely noticed that this is not as maybe instant as I would like. But here in the Legion Space, and I'll tell you that, okay, the store being the front and center, I'm never going to use this. I hope there's a way for me to change this eventually. But if we're going to the library here, I actually like the way the library is configured, and I had posted about this online, and I think in the Legion Go Facebook group, and someone had said, hey, do you want to install the Windows full screen experience here? And I was like, no, I actually don't want to. This is the first device that, unlike my ROG Ally, where I've always just wanted a more console-like experience, with this one especially, it doesn't really feel as cramped up, maybe because of the bigger display. So what I mean is, if I open Edge, for example, as you can see, this is like the website. You can see it's like so big that I actually don't feel like I need to use any of my controllers, for example, to navigate, where on the Ally, I would have needed to navigate with like the right thumbstick. And here, of course, we have that trackpad here, where, it's not the biggest, but it definitely works nicely. It's taking some getting used to, especially because I thought that there could be like some gestures. So there is no way to like use a double finger gesture here to go up or down, for example, right? Or if there is, I do not know yet. But going back into Legion Space anyway, I would say I actually like the way it presents the games here, and I've been launching my games from Legion Space here. Going into the settings, and of course, it's very visual. It's very different to what we get with Armoury Crate on the Ally, and for me, it's the Xbox Ally and all the other Allies. And I just like the sort of hexagonal design. I think it's a design language that speaks very well to me. I like that very much. The way you customize the controller, so if we're going to the controllers, of course, the controllers are removable, and we'll get to that shortly. That took me a while to understand, actually. But here, a little gripe that I've noticed almost immediately, it's like you see that there's so many animations, and most times I just want to get into it, but it's like I lose so much time with those animations there. Why can't you just give it to me immediately? Like, look at that. It's just a tiny niggle, but it's the immediate thing I noticed here. But generally, I would say, or in fact, I would say that I wouldn't have said that I would like Legion Space. And when we go into the right here, where it shows you like all of the performance overlays, where you have all of your power options, where you can change your watts, and here you can go all the way down to like 5 watts, which is insane in the custom mode. And I kind of dig this better than Armoury Crate. I never ever thought I would be saying this, okay? So I never thought I would be saying that I would like this control system much better than Armoury Crate. But let's say if I bring in my Ally X right here, so let me bring in my Xbox Ally here. Here you can see that there is quite a bit of customization, of course. Like, I can customize some of the things here, but compared to like this one is like on a whole other level. As you can see, like there's so many things I can customize: the controller mapping, the vibration strength. So how strong is the vibration? If I'm playing an FPS or racing game, one of the other tabs here is the quick system settings that I can access. And of course, on the Xbox Ally, we do have that in Armoury Crate here, where you have all of these settings you can customize. But it's, again, I didn't think I would be saying this, but here the customization levels are just insane. And I was not familiar with your game, Lenovo. I definitely was not familiar with your game. So when it comes to just the overlays here, I'm really impressed. again, I didn't think I was saying this, but I'm really impressed with just the general thing. And of course, when we go into the display right here, I set up HDR and it's such a beautiful display. It's so beautiful. Now, moving on to the next thing that I immediately noticed because I've been gaming on this is the grip. So the grip, I worried that it was not too deep. And of course, it's not. I mean, compared to something like, say, the Xbox Ally that has, you know, this sort of massive grips right here. These are way more comfortable, I'll tell you that for sure. But the grips are not bad. I did find myself though having to tweak how I hold it a little bit. So instead of holding it like this, so this is how it looks on the back, I always held it like this. So that's something that I noticed that I did here. But other than that, the grip has actually been good. And when it comes to the Xbox Ally right here, the weight of this, I didn't think this was as light as it was until I held this. But I thought that I would feel this become as heavy or more heavier in my head, which is what I imagined. And it is heavy, don't get me wrong. But it is not so heavy that when I played, for example, for 3-4 hours today, even before I started shooting all of this. And I'll tell you that if you are not doing like a comparison immediately with two devices side by side like this, you wouldn't really notice, though it is chunky and it does require a substantially more weight over time ratio, which means that if you're going to be holding this for a longer time, you will feel it. But I felt that it's not as bad as I would imagine. Definitely not. So I've been playing some games here, which are some of my favorite games, such as Mega Bunk, such as Warhammer Space Marine, and also Vampire Survivors. And I can tell you that while I'm not someone who, you know, craps on the Ally display, the Xbox Ally display here and say, oh, it's too small, or it's too tiny, or the bezels are ugly, I actually don't care about any of those. I'm okay with the display on the Xbox Ally. Switching back and forth between the Xbox Ally and the Legion Go 2 is like whiplash. Like there's just no comparison. The Legion Go 2 has that beautiful HDR display. The display is much bigger than when I then started gaming again on my Xbox Ally X. I just couldn't adjust to the size difference. Like it was massive. And of course, again, the more I then played on my Xbox X, I then adjusted to it. So we all adapt to things eventually, I'll tell you. But initially, when I switched between these two devices, I can definitely tell you that there's a massive change now. Where I expected a massive change, because I mean, here I already expected a massive change in the display. Of course, the displays are like so big here. But where I expected an even bigger gulf in difference is in the speakers. Now, the speakers on the Legion Go 2 here is top firing. So you get those two top firing speakers right there. But on the Ally X, of course, you get the front firing speakers right here. And initially, before I got these devices, my first thought was like, yeah, this is gonna mug this one, right? Like the Xbox Ally X is absolutely gonna mug the speakers on the Legion Go 2. But I was shocked that it wasn't the case. For me, what are my fears? I would highlight that first. I feared that the sound will be too front heavy, that I wouldn't really feel that surround sound, right? But when I did then play sound on the Legion Go 2 speakers right here, it definitely was able to go surround, right? So what I mean is that, of course, it's not as loud or it's not as full as the one on the Xbox Ally X, because this one has those facing speakers that are literally in front of you, and the Dolby Atmos that it has here versus the Nahimic that is on the Legion Go 2, it's a huge difference. So there's no comparison there, I think, right? But where I had the fear was that it was going to be a lot more teeny than on the Xbox Ally X. I had the fear that it was going to be the part of the console that compromised. So maybe the display is great on this, but then the speakers is great on this, right? So there's like a compromise. But I found that the speakers on the Legion Go 2 right here is actually almost 80 to 85% of the speakers on the Xbox Ally X right here. So definitely much closer than I imagined, and definitely more closer than you imagined as well.
Operation without full repair is unwise. You may override safety protocols via the control room at your own risk.
Up there! Looks like the control room.
Now, when it came to the gaming experience, these both have a Z2 Extreme chip in them, with the Xbox Ally X here having the AI version. So it has a little bit more AI cores there versus this one that is just the standard Z2 Extreme. It's still great, okay? Standard does not mean anything bad in this case, but gaming was pretty similar. I think the only difference when it came to gameplay, particularly for these two devices right here, is that this one it feels like a treat. That's what I call it. Gaming on the Legion Go 2 feels like I am giving myself a special present at the end of the day, and gaming on the Xbox Ally is like the time I regularly schedule to, you know, go have a smoke break. I don't smoke, but I would imagine for me to be a snack break because I snack. So this will be akin to getting a snack, the Xbox Ally X, while this will be akin to getting yourself a little bit something more special. Now, that is reflected in the price, of course, and if you are really deciding which one to go for, either of this when it comes to the price and all of that, I'll get to that. But before I get to that, and before I forget, I just want to quickly go over some of the kind of physical things I have noticed in using this Legion Go 2. And I thought I would get to it earlier in the video, but I just wanted to have a feel of the device first. And the first one is all the extra buttons. So on the Legion Go 2 here, of course, we have this two buttons right here, two extra buttons right here. We have a scroll wheel here. We have the another two buttons here. If we go to the side, we have two buttons on the side here. So as you can imagine, there's a trackpad. There are two buttons here. There are four buttons here. So there are a lot of buttons around this device. And the first thing was that every time I hold it, I always mistakenly hit on the right button right here, this right two buttons. And I have programmed my two back paddles here. The first one will turn on frame gen AMD 2.1 FSR. And this other one here will turn on the overlay so I can see my game performance at the top right there. And I initially mapped it to the right here, but I had to unmap it because I kept mistakenly hitting it. Every single time I hold it, I'll mistakenly hit it. So while having a lot of buttons is great, for me, I will most probably just be using the buttons just like how I use the buttons on the Xbox Ally, which is like there's just two buttons at the back there. Anything I needed to do, I did it with these two buttons at the back, and that's pretty much it. I think that's how I'm going to use the Legion Go 2, at least for now, until I get used to it. And also the power button is really annoying. I know I mentioned that before, but it's really annoying to hit it every time I wanted to start. And I have like really big hands. I'll have you know that, right? But it's really annoying to hit it. I have to always readjust my grip or do this awkward hand thing. It's really annoying as well. Now, there are detachable sticks here, and it took me more than a science degree and a PhD to get them off. Now, on the back here, they have like this kind of indentation way here. So initially, I did not understand. I tried to just push it. Nothing happened. And then I only just realized that you actually have to push it and then slide down. Whoop. Yes, so that tends to happen also. I'm not a pro at this, but you just press it and then you pull it down, and then you have the tablet right here, and then you have the controllers right here. So in theory, it is great. I mean, I have the Switch 1, so it's great to have detachable controllers. And I imagine the game I'll be playing the most with this is RoboCop. And of course, you have this dock here where you can just put that underneath like this. I think you lock it in. So you put it here, you lock it. I believe you lock it like that, and then suddenly this is a mouse, right? You can see that, and you can use this as a mouse like this, and this is great. I don't think I'll be using it, but it's nice that it's there. At least for me, this would be a gimmick. I don't think this is something that I'll be using on a day-to-day purpose. But when we do get into the tablet here, because it then becomes a tablet, this is a very thick boy. So if you are thinking of, let's say, looking at what is the width, I think the Ally X, it's a little bit slightly thicker than it because it slopes a bit. So I mean, from the top down, it looks like it's thinner, but it actually has this slope. And if we count the slope, which we should count the slope, I think the Legion Go is slightly thinner than it. But both of these devices, none of them are like a thin device, right? These are chunky boys right here, especially this one. This is a chunky device. But if you wanted to use it as a tablet or maybe have it docked somewhere, you totally can. And if you, let's say, go into your settings, you go into your display right here, and you can actually turn off rotation lock, where you can actually rotate the interface, which I love. And it has like an accelerometer, so it will actually rotate your device. And of course, you can rotate it like pretty much any way you want. I believe any way you want. Can we rotate it underneath? Yes, we can rotate it 360 degrees right there, which is super cool. So I like that about this device. And you know, it's just a really, really nice display. Like, Like, it looks absolutely stunning. I cannot talk enough just about how this device looks. And yeah, let me wrap it up while I put all of this together. In fact, you know what? Let me try to do this live. I always fail to do this the first time. It's just very confusing. So let me try to, ooh, look at that. Look at me being a pro suddenly when I'm recording. But I'm just gonna move this out. I'm just gonna also move this out. And yeah, this, ladies and gentlemen, is, oh, I have to unlock it here and then push it out. Yes, and then put it here like this. So yeah, this is definitely a very fiddly process, and to unlock I have to move my fingers all the way there, but you do have it. And I've also turned on HDR, which I found was not on by default, so I've turned on HDR here in the settings as well, because this display sings when it's on HDR. Even without HDR it sings, but when it's on HDR, oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, there's another time skip, but there's a reason for this, because I'd already transferred all my clips to the computer, and I realized that there's one thing I did not really talk about, at least the way I wanted to. And on the Legion Go 2 here, one of the biggest concerns I always have is about the fan. It has a massive fan here, and I'm always concerned about the fan noise. And on the Xbox Ally X right here, the one thing I really love about this device is that it really is very quiet. Even at full blast, I rarely ever hear it. In fact, sometimes I put my ear to it just to ask myself, like, is this thing working? Like, that's how quiet this can be, especially when I'm gaming in bed at night next to my wife who is sleeping, and I don't want to wake her up because there's a jet turbo engine by my side. And on the Legion Go 2, there are pros and cons, but I've noticed that while this does get loud, it is louder than the Xbox Ally, which is the biggest concern that I had. Now, it's kind of 50-50 in the terms of, so if we go to the back here, it actually has this massive thing beneath the Legion logo here. Now, this actually sucks in the air and then expels the hot air at the top there, which means that while this is louder than the Xbox Ally X in my experience, it is also cooler, which means that when I look at, let's say, my stats, so let me just go into here and turn this up. Okay, this has auto brightness. When I look at the stats there and I look at the temperature, most of the time the temperature is usually around 67 to 70 degrees, whereby on my Xbox Ally X right here, I have gotten up to 80 plus degrees on this. So while it is louder, I've always found that it is also cooler than the Xbox Ally X. Okay, so that's just the part I want to put here. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it in the video because I'd already had too many time skips, but I just felt that when I watched all the videos about the Legion Go 2 before I got mine, this was a concern or a question that I really wanted the answer to, and I couldn't let this video go without answering this. All right. Okay, I'm done here. And when we look at both these devices here, I think both of them just have like a very different philosophy. So on the Legion Go here, Legion Go 2, or what I call Lego 2, here you basically just have a all-in-one package, right? Something that is big, something that gives you all the features, something that throws everything at you. And you can see it here in the sort of overlay command center. It's like it literally throws everything at you, versus something like the Xbox Ally here, where it's a little bit more reserved, right? It's not giving you every feature you can get. In fact, most of it are curated. And even if I go into the modes right there, right, like the power modes, here I'm on manual. So let's say if I go to manual and I'm trying to click on manual and nothing is happening. So I'm not sure why it is bugging out now. Okay, yes. Here we go. But you can see that, right? You can see how many taps it takes me to like get into any of the things here, because ASUS really curates the experience, which is great. Just like Apple's walled garden, right? Everything works just out of the box and you don't have to tinker as much. And if you want to tinker as much, of course you can. You can come here into Armoury Crate, you can go into performance, you can, really go there and really push everything, move all of your bars there and everything. But overall, the Xbox Ally, which is where I'm leaning towards, right, is a lot more packaged, right? Versus the Legion Go 2 here, which I've noticed that it's willing to not hold your hand as much, right? Which means that it gives you all of the buttons and all of the customizations and everything if we're going to controller right there. And it's not holding your hand in what you can or cannot do or trying to limit whatever. No, this one gives you everything just right front and center. The moment you press the button, you kind of know what you're getting. And look at that. You've got so many options. You can tweak to your heart's content. And that's what I've noticed this with the Legion Go 2 versus my Xbox Ally, where the Xbox Ally, it builds on Asus philosophy of, play your games everywhere. And most of the time, when you want to game, you don't want to be changing settings, right? You just want to game. And let's be honest, on the Legion Go 2 as well, you can do that. It's just that on the Legion Go 2, I kind of feel like I have a lot more customization options. And when we just look at this display right here, oh, it's such a beautiful display. Like, it's so beautiful that I actually don't want to install the Xbox full screen experience here because I want to be able to see my desktop. I want to be able to open apps myself. And it has 32 gigs of RAM. And because of that 32 gigs of RAM, if I open the AMD software here, and let me just here in Armoury Crate, let me go into general and let me go into the GPU. I believe it's in GPU. So let me go back, performance, GPU settings. And here I set my memory assigned to 16 gig on the ROG Xbox Ally X. And here on the Legion Go 2, if I go into my settings as well, or I go into tuning, there is a place here. Yes. So here I also set my dedicated graphics memory to 16 gig on the Legion Go 2. But because the Legion Go 2 has 32 gigs, it means that I still have 16 gigs of system memory. While here on the Xbox Ally, because it only has 24 gigs, I now have 6 gigs? It's 24, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, 8 gigs. I cannot believe I had to count on my fingers here. But I now only have 8 gigs of system memory on my Xbox Ally. To be honest, it's not even that important. I've never noticed my computer lag because I never use this as a computer. I probably just use it, to game. So I'm not running multiple apps, that kind of a thing. I'm usually running one app at a time. But it seems like on the Legion Go 2 here, you do get a little bit more of that headspace to, run more stuff if you're going to be using this docked or you're going to be using this as your primary computer, because the form factor just really favors it. And another thing that I really like is the port underneath here, because most of the time, wow, I did not put that securely. That was not great at all. Okay, let me try to put this back in here. It's also, as you can see, the struggle I have with the thing here, with the detachable controllers here. And let me turn off rotation lock there. But yeah, with the Legion Go 2 here, it just feels like you have a lot more headroom, right? You can do a lot more things, and it's big. If you remove those two controllers and you put it on your desk, for example, it's not going to look out of place versus this one where you put it on your table and it's definitely going to look like, oh, why do you have a controller that has a screen on your table, right? So it will definitely call way more attention to it. And yeah, I got so many questions and so many comments asking me like, so if you had to pick one, which one would you pick? Which one is better? Which one should you buy? And I think I'm the wrong person to answer that question, because all the reasons why I want all of this are my own reasons, right? So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to talk about the things that I actually like, and if that helps you, it helps you, because I believe you're not watching only my video. And if you've made it this far, believe me, as someone who has made it this far to so many more videos, you already kind of know what you want and what you don't want. You just want my perspective and how that will help you. So here it goes, right? If you're someone who values the display, you're someone who values having the pinnacle of what mobile gaming should be, because I believe the Legion Go 2 is it. It really is a beautiful device to look at, to play on. You cannot go wrong with Legion Go 2. If, and only if, and a big if you can afford it, because this is a pricey device. And again, I did not get this from Lenovo. I bought this with my own money, right? So which makes no financial sense whatsoever, because, maybe I could have just continued reaching out. I did reach out to the PR team that handles Lenovo, but it didn't seem like things were going to go anywhere fast. And I needed to have this so I could make this video, and so I could also not just, be locked into one system like the Xbox Ally here, and not be able to have my knowledge updated whether there's anything better or not, right? So I think the Legion Go 2 here, if you can afford it, and if the weight is not going to be a problem, because again, I'm a big guy, right? And I'm a very muscular guy. You can see my muscles there. Yeah, everybody say thank you to my muscles, right? I'm a big guy, so I definitely can hold this and not really feel it as much, but there is a kind of heft to it. I'll tell you that for sure. But the Xbox Ally here, I think excels at number one, ergonomics. Like nothing beats the ergonomics of the Xbox Ally X right here. Nothing in the market right now, I'll tell you, beats the ergonomics. I don't like it. I think it looks very ugly, but my comfort level after 2, 3, 4 hours has not lied to me. And this is a very comfortable console to use. And also it's just very integrated, right? So that means that while you might not have as much tweaking, and to be honest, you do have it, it's just that it's not as front and center as on the Legion Go 2 right here. So that's something that I also noticed. But why you don't have any of that here with the Xbox Ally, what you do have is you have something that just right out of the box, I did not need to tweak as much, right, to get it running. Whereby on the Legion Go 2, I had to increase the VRAM because by default, it only came with 2 gigs of VRAM. When it has up to 16 gigs, I think it's egregious. Why is Lenovo doing this? I have no idea. But on the Xbox Ally right here, it's just a lot more streamlined, I would say, right? It's cheaper, it feels better in the hand. Sure, the display is not great, and I also got many comments that, oh, the bezels are ugly, the bezels are so big. Come on, man. When you're gaming, you're telling me that that's what you're looking at? You're looking at the bezels, seriously? So I don't take that serious because, again, that's me, and that's what I care about, and this is why in response to people who ask me about the bezel, I'm always telling them that, listen, it's all about your aesthetic choice, right? So if your aesthetic choice is that you care about something looking good, because the bezels literally don't affect the gaming experience of the handheld, right? Like it's gonna game how it's gonna game no matter what, right? But if that's something that means something to you, then maybe don't be looking at the Xbox Ally in the first place, right? What are you doing here? What is any of us doing here? Don't do that. Just go for the Legion Go 2 or go for any of the, I've heard someone recommend like a 1X player or something that has like really ultra thin bezels. Go for that. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money, right? But if you're someone who you don't care, which I believe almost everybody, like when you start gaming and you are into the game, most times you're not looking at the bezels and like, oh, the bezels are not gonna, because why do I know this? I come from the phone world where people obsess over like the micrometers of phone bezels, and it doesn't matter, okay, is what I'm saying. But if it matters to you, don't look at the Xbox Ally X, right? Performance-wise, they're pretty similar. I got so much more similar performance-wise that I'm not doing any overlays, and this one performs 5 FPS. You have ETA Prime, you have the Fox, you have many channels here on YouTube. I watch them, so you go watch them because they will do all of this. They care about that. I don't. I care more about the experience here. When it's about the experience, it really boils down to what you want. And for me, what I wanted with the Legion Go 2 was I wanted that bigger display. I want HDR. I really like HDR displays. So I wanted HDR. I wanted something that, I don't know, just felt different because I've had all the Allies, right? So this is the Xbox Ally here. I have the original Ally plugged to my TV with a RTX 3080 mobile graphics and then hooked to my TV right there. So I've had 3 generations of the ROG Ally, right? And with this latest iteration, I'll be honest, it's not disappointing. I really like it. It's a really wonderful device right here. It's just that it didn't feel like it pushed as much of a boundary as I would have liked. And it's one thing I mentioned that, in some of my videos I've made quite a bit more videos about the Xbox Ally at this stage. And it just felt something like that was safe. And if Asus is going to compete next year with the likes of not just the Legion Go 2, but the 1X player, but with the Zotac or even MSI. MSI has been doing lots of things in the industry as well. I believe they will need to make some fundamental changes. That would include the screen probably, that would include OLED. And RAM, I don't really think it's a huge of an issue. Seriously, nobody's, needs that much RAM. But that might also be something because it might just be cheap enough that it will cost them practically nothing. But I do believe that in the next iteration of the ROG Ally, Asus will need to do something different, at least to bring some excitement to their own take on the handheld gaming, right? And I think the reason why I feel so deeply about Asus is because, they came into this even before, I think, the Steam Deck, or right before, after the Steam Deck. I'm not sure who did it first, but they came into this with just putting as much as they could with the original Ally and just selling it at a great price. And I think that got a lot of people in, like me, who are very excited about the device. So they really need to change something to make this good. Lenovo, on the other hand, it is pricey, and I think this might be the flip side next year if Asus improves the Xbox Ally X right here and they give it OLED and they give it all of these upgrades that we've been asking for. It might also be more expensive. So are you ready for that? Because that's exactly what happened here on the Legion Go 2, where it's got that OLED screen now. It's got like really good speakers. It's got that fingerprint scanner in the power button. The detachable controllers are still there. And I like this trackpad that I turned on the vibration, so it vibrates when I move it as well, similar to what is on the Steam Deck, I've heard. but you do pay the price. So if you're someone who is willing to pay that price and this looks like right up your alley, then the Legion Go 200,000%. If you're someone who just wants something integrated, you want something comfortable, not everybody wants a massive screen, because while a massive screen is great in theory, in practice, will you be bringing this on the train? Would you be bringing this in a car? Like, it's big enough that, my wife calls it a TV. You might as well be carrying a TV around, right? So not everybody, even if this might have the better screen, not everybody might necessarily want to have the biggest screen all the time, right? So I think that's where the Xbox Ally X shines here really, really well. Okay, I think that is about it. Let me just quickly check some of my notes here. Yeah, I think that is about it for everything that I want to mention about this device. There are a lot more things I want to talk about. There are a lot more things I want to bring attention to, but for now, I'm just excited to game on this, right? I've been gaming on the Xbox Ally here for the past 3 weeks, almost a month now. And I'm so excited to do the same on the Legion Go 2 here, play most of the games I really love in glorious 8.8-inch OLED with HDR. I'm really excited to do that because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, guys. Come on, you gotta play those games. You gotta finish those games. On the Xbox Ally X here, I've already finished about 3 games and I'm looking to finish my first game here on the Legion Go 2. I've been enjoying Warhammer Space Marines 2. Why did it take me so long to get into this game? It's an amazing game. I've not been able to put it down, but that will be it for me. Thank you so much for making it all the way here. Believe me, I've tried to put all of my thoughts and I've not followed my script as much as I could have, but that's primarily because what is a script anyway? I just want to talk about the things I really care about in the way I care about them, and hopefully you pick up a thing or two along the way. And if you did, make sure you consider liking and subscribing here on Geekception. I'm your captain of awesome. If you have a spare change and you want to buy me a coffee, you want to become a member here on YouTube, that would be fantastic, as it helps me offset some of the cost of buying this Legion Go 2 out of pocket. But even if you did none of that and all you did was just take care of yourself, all you did was just text me when you get home so I know you got home safe, that would be fantastic. And I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to stay awesome. Bye. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of this very long video. I really appreciate you. And as you can see, I have the Legion Go 2 here, which I've been using as my main. And I also have the Xbox Ally on my table right there. And yeah, I pretty much make this video because when I was looking to buy the Legion Go 2, there were not a lot of videos about it. And each video I watched, I remember I was not thinking about their camera or their lighting or whatever. All I cared about was just getting as much information as I could, which is exactly what I focused on here. So I know my table was a bit shaky and I'm changing it very soon, but I just as much as possible just try to make a very information dense video of everything I would have liked to see if I were watching a video like this when I was looking to buy my own Legion Go 2. So if you've made it all the way here, please leave hashtag Legion Go 2, but like 2 spell it TOO. So I know you made it here to the end of the video. Let me know, are you buying the Legion Go 2? Are you buying the Xbox Ally X? What are your thoughts? What are some of the things you're excited about? For me, I've been playing Space Marines, Warhammer 40k, and I did not know about this game before, and I'm so obsessed right now. In fact, I went and I purchased the first Space Armor, and I'm playing that because I got into, I think, almost half of Space Marines 2, and I was like, I think there's some parts missing that I would fill in my knowledge gaps by watching the first one. So that's exactly what I did. But enough of me. You've watched me so much already, so thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.